Hello again. I'm in the Lake District this week. We've had lovely weather up to this day, and then I kind of figured I've got to make a video, so I need to get out and make this video. It's my turn to cook tonight as well, so got to get back at a reasonable hour. So I'm in a place called Rosthwaite. I'm heading northeast, Watendlath, just over the top. Got a lovely little tea room there, and a little tarn next to it as well. Little fishing one. They have rainbow trout and stuff like that in there. Beautiful little place, but I'm not going to quite get to the end of that. What I'm going to do is just head up the hill on this side, and I'm kind of hoping I will be able to get some lovely views of Castle Crag, which is in the middle of this valley, and on the other side you will also see Green Gable, Great Gable, and yeah, beautiful location, really is. We've had a bit of rain today, as you can see in the video. It come down hard this morning. It's just starting to ease off now. There's about 15 minutes to 1 o'clock, and I'm kind of hoping, just like a tap, it should turn off. Temperature's quite nice. I'm only wearing a base layer and this rab jacket, waterproof, and that's just I can keep warm with the merino top underneath, the little base layer. And yeah, I shouldn't get any chills or anything. I did this another day with a cotton t-shirt on, and boy did I feel the chill. So yeah, I'm just gonna have another go at this. It's lovely because obviously it's rain, and now everything's a little bit more saturated. You can probably see that in the background, back down that path. It's looking lovely and green. Yeah, not fully into autumn, but some of the leaves are changing. We have got orange and yellow. But probably another week or two and this will all start to go. Lovely, gorgeous location, it really is. I'm just looking through this little gap here, and I can see on the other side, these waterfalls on the other side are huge now. I mean, you wouldn't be able to see it in the week where it hadn't rained. But yeah, the rivers are swelling a little bit. Yeah. Absolutely stunning location, really happy to be here. I've come out with some family, and we've had a few days together, a few little walks, and this was one of them, so I just decided to come back on it. And today I'm going to try and talk about manual settings on your camera. It's pretty much the same on all cameras, give or take slightly little bits of room either way on some of the settings. But generally it's all the same. So yeah, going to talk about ISO, we're going to talk about aperture, and we're also going to talk about shutter speed as well. And I'm going to show you what I do in my landscape photography and try and explain each one as briefly as I can, because I don't want to scare you. For some it's quite scary going into manual mode, so I'm kind of hoping I don't put you off. And yeah, we're going to try and talk through that. For now, I'm just going to try and get up a little bit higher. There's a few little places I've looked at already, and because of the water's up, I might get more interesting pictures in certain locations as well. So yeah, bear with me, we're just going to trek up now. Follow me, and hopefully we'll catch up in a bit. Ooh. Every now and again it's really nice to take all your gear off. I'm still on the ascent. and it is not easy with all the gear on your back, but man's got to do what a man's got to do. So I heard a waterfall. I didn't hear this the other day because there was not much water flowing through here, but as I was coming up the path I could hear the water trickling down, cascading if you like, down these waterfalls. They're only small but loud enough for me to step over the top and just take a look. I'm not far from the path, I'm about 10 metres, and I think I can see a shot. I can see two here. I can see there's a lovely little tree in there. I kind of like the colours on that. That looks kind of nice. And I really like, just in here, there's a boxed area just here with a little waterfall in it. I'm going to see if I can do something with that. It might work, it might not. But I love the leaves on the trees, so it kind of made me want to stop and take a few pictures. I have to keep wiping your eye so you can still see me. But I'm going to see if I can take a few shots here, and I'll explain probably shutter speed here, because I want to capture the cascading water and I don't really want it incredibly milky. I want it to have some of that detail retained in areas of the water coming down. Just to give it a little bit of movement, you do need a bit of a slow shutter, and because of the light that I have, I'm working with here, it's going to allow me to get the shutter speed down a little bit anyway. And I have got the polariser filter as well, which I will try and introduce, because there's going to be, rocks look lovely when they're wet, but they reflect a lot of the sky back and they look a little bit blown out in places. So this can help tone that down a little bit, and you know, hopefully we'll walk away with a lovely image. So I'm going to have a go with that. Just going to pop you down. Just going to set up the tripod. I'm probably going to walk around a little bit with the camera in my hand just to have a look, try and figure out where I need to be to take the shot. It's very easy just to turn up and go there, get your camera out. I mean, it adds that it's raining that you want to speed up anyway. So take your time at the scene. You're already wet, you're not going to get much wetter. So take your time, grab your camera, walk around, try and get a real feel for the location and work out what shot is going to be best to work here. So yeah, just going to grab the SLR now. Probably going to walk around with a 24-70. I bought the Nikon D850, and yeah, just going to try and frame up a shot, and hopefully I'll talk you through it when we get to that point. I'm going to keep the lens hood on for now because I don't want water droplets all over the lens, and yeah, it helps shield it off. Don't know why people get rid of their lens hoods in their kit bags. I think they're so useful keeping water off and stuff like that. Always have it on you, in my opinion, and it keeps the whole kit together when you come to sell bits of it and stuff like that, rather than trying to rummage around the house and find everything. So yeah, I'm just going to go and frame up a shot now. So if you want to follow me. Now what I'm going for is, I don't want to include any sky, and I am kind of looking uphill here. So I'm trying to find a compromise somewhere in the middle. I don't want too much debris in the shot. There's lovely leaves already fallen on the rocks. It looks really nice. But I'm just going to get a live view on here and hopefully show you what I'm seeing and try and walk you through it. So my most obvious shot straight away is something like that. That's a very obvious shot to go for because I've got the sky out of the picture, I've got the cascading water, and I've got you leading all the way up to the back there to see the leaves on the trees in the background. Just to give you an idea how much play I've got, look at the top of that scene. So I have to bring that down here, or I could do this. I could stand up, put the tripod out so you can see more of the waterfall, and then I can angle the camera down more, and therefore you won't see as much up top anyway. So I could go for that in portrait. That will work nicely. I have seen something else as well. If I flip the camera, look at that rock on the right hand side there, and there's also something else on the other side, so you can add a bit of balance there. There's one rock way back here as well. I can add that in, and all I need to do is kind of maybe just get nearer to the waterfall, stand directly over it. That's quite a nice shot right there. I could go for that, but I might take them both just so that I have them. I don't want to walk away from here and decide that maybe I should have taken that other shot. So I'm going to get that one, and I think the wider waterfall one as well, just the waterfall running up the middle. So yeah, I'm going to take those two shots, and I'm going to talk you through the shutter next, and how I'm going to capture the moving water. So I'm just going to talk to you now about shutter speed and how it's going to affect this image. The other thing I want to talk to you about is the ISO and the aperture as well. So my aperture, I normally leave at f11. Between f8 and f11 is quite a sweet spot on most lenses. That's max, you know, like best sharpness even, not max. Best sharpness on your lens. Sometimes you do have to push it though, and maybe use a smaller aperture like f22, and that will give you more depth in the image depending on how close something is to the lens. Now I'm using 1/4 of a second, which is 1/4 of a second for this shot, and that will allow me to capture some movement in the water spilling down this cascade here. Now I can play with that even more depending on the flow of the water. If it's fast flowing, you might get away with 1/8 or anywhere up to that. But I like to just sit around there. Sometimes when you've got a polariser filter on the front of your lens, you might be able to get a few more stops out of your shutter speed there, so you can slow it down a little bit more if you need it, particularly on a bright day. But we're on quite a flat day here. We've got neutral light across the whole scene here, so it's quite nice to work with actually. It's very diffused, and it's quite a nice woodland light you want to work with. So my shutter speed is 1/4 of a second, and I framed it up so this landscape one is going to have the two boulders on either side, just to try and add a little bit of balance, and then I hope you can sort of connect a triangle in the scene here from one boulder to the other to the tree at the back maybe. So yeah, I'm including a tiny little bit of sky in the corner of the image because I don't have much choice, but as a 16:9 this might actually work, so I'm going to take it anyway, and I'm going to share it with you, and yeah, tell me your thoughts. Changed any settings here. I'm still working with the same settings I had previously, and I shouldn't have to change it really, because if you think about it, all I'm doing is changing the orientation of the camera. The lighting hasn't changed here at all. I'm just going to see if I can get a wider lens on this, because I feel like I should be getting more in the foreground to try and exaggerate what's going on here towards the back. I've swapped the lens out. I'm on the 17 to 35mm now, and what I'm hoping to do here is just get a little bit more in than what I had before. The rain has completely stopped. You know, when you're enjoying yourself, you do kind of forget sometimes the simplest little things around you. So I've moved the polariser filter onto here. I've turned it so I've got down some of the hotspot areas on the rocks, so they look all nice and dark now. I've also got some lovely leaves in this shot as well, and again it's leading all the way up to the tree at the back. And I've now moved the shutter to 1 over 1.6 of a second. I'm still on f11, ISO 64. Now I can play with the f-stop here to make it darker again by making it something like f13 or 14. And I'm happy to do that because that will actually allow me to focus closer now and still have a good depth of field in the background. And that's one of the reasons why you want it. If you do move closer to a subject in the foreground, you kind of want everything in focus behind it as well. Unless that's what you're going for, to throw it out, and this is the most important part of the image. So I've just done that now. My histogram is still stacked up towards the left-hand side here, but there's no clipping because I haven't got any sky in it, and I've got all the glare off of the rocks. So I'm going to take this shot. I'm focused about, it looks about halfway into the image, but it's not. It's still a third of the way into the image. My focus is actually halfway on the screen at the back. So I'm going to take that shot. Got it on timer. I'm just going to move around this scene now and see if there's any other shots before I move on. Like I said, there's a lovely tree through there which I'm going to try and get as well. Then maybe head up a little bit higher, see if I can get a shot up there. I've just moved down a little bit. I'm in the same location. I've seen a beautiful bit of interest here. There is a beautiful small tree, young sapling there, right in the middle. And that's what I'm going for. Here I'm at, well, I'm going to have to flip it back now to live view on the camera. And I am at an aperture of f8 because I only want you to look at the tree really. I don't care much for anything else being slightly out of focus. And it just might throw a little bit of the background out. So 1/4 of a second here. That's what I was using on the water back there. So hopefully just double check, make sure it's nice and sharp before I move on. Yep, I'm happy with that image. Actually, at this point I should probably talk to you about ISO. So ISO in my images I tend to use more when the light drops down a bit more and I need to get that shutter speed up. I use it a lot in wildlife. I'm at really high ISOs and you want to walk away with a sharp image. It's probably better than not using it at all because you're going to walk away with a really blurry image and you don't want that. Play with it on your camera, find out what the limits are. I would encourage you to watch other people's videos as well because they might be able to tell you how to set your parameters on your camera to allow it not to go any higher. I really like the look of this tree just here. It's just started to rain quite heavily again, and if you look in the background, because it's raining, it's now given a mist appearance in the background, so that works in my favour. It gives a bit of separation. Now I'm not too sure about the other trees further down, but this one in the little gap here kind of works for me. I'm going to try and include that one, not in its entirety, but I'm going to clip the sides off a little bit, but it gives you something to look down to, and I've got a lovely boulder in the foreground as well, so I'm going to include that. So yeah, I'm just going to take that shot. I'm going to move quite quickly because it is really starting to hammer down now. I do love the bag I've got. Doesn't work with the tripod on, but got a nice little rain cover on the bag. So back to the shot again. Just make sure I've got no rain droplets. I've angled the camera slightly down so that I don't get the droplets on the lens, and I can work with that. Now I have still got the polariser on there, so what I want to do is try and zoom in, get a feel for the reflections, and the best place to look for reflections is on the rocks. So if I rotate, I can see I've just cut into the reflections there, they're gone. Zoom back out again. So with aperture, what I try to do here, and this is quite important, I don't really want you to be looking into the background. I want you to kind of concentrate on the foreground. So that's the reason why I've chose f8. And I know it's quite a sweet spot on the lens. Now I would go lower, and I probably will, because I'd like to see the comparison of the two images side by side. And so I'll probably drop it to like f5.6, somewhere around that region. That means that I've now got to adjust my shutter speed to compensate for that additional bit of light that I'm allowing in. Now it's opened up the aperture. It's weird, aperture works the opposite way round to how you think. So the higher the number, the smaller the hole on the lens, allowing to get back to the sensor on the back of the camera. And the other way would be f2.8 is a wider aperture, and that's why we say that. There's no easy way to remember it, it's just you do gradually get used to it. Getting absolutely drenched here, so I'm going to move up. I really want to get that last shot before I pack up and leave. So I'm going to have to catch up with you in a bit. For now, I'm going to try and dry it all off, throw it back in the bag. And it's really handy to have quite a few drying cloths here. I brought loads of lens cloths with me because I knew I was going to get into this situation. I've got one in my pocket which is dry, but obviously as I keep taking it out, my hands are wet, the lens is wet, and that is going to become saturated. So you wring it out, put it somewhere else, like in another little zip tie bag or something like that, and then start on a new dry cloth. And yeah, unfortunately, it's one of the things about being out in the rain. But I guarantee you will get some of your best images if you just come out in these sort of conditions. These are really ideal, really. If you wait for a dry day and you're sat indoors watching this video on a wet day, I really encourage you to get out there. I really do. Right, I'm going to see if I can find somewhere to just sort of hunker down a little bit while I let this rain go over. See you in a bit. I'm really not getting very far here. I've just literally walked up the path probably about 30 meters, and I found this little composition here just hiding away underneath a tree coming through a brick wall. It's absolutely beautiful in there. It's a bit of a tight spot. I've got tree twigs sticking in my hair. There is an annoying twig here, but I don't want to snap it off. I'm not that type of person. So I'm just going to make do with what I've got. And what I've gone for here, this is where I'm going to introduce a bit of ISO, I think, because it is quite dark in there. I need that shutter to be about 1/4 of a second, and I'm on f9, so I've kind of like compromised in two areas here. The aperture, I've opened it up to allow more light in, down to f9, and I've also upped the ISO to 250. I know this camera can do it, so I'm going to allow that to happen. And my focus is on the twigs, the leaves in the foreground, and I'm going to see if I can get an exposure of the waterfall as well, maybe in a separate exposure. I might have to merge them together, I'm not sure. I'm just going to move the focus to the back of the front of the waterfall. I don't know whether to carry on going up. It has cleared, but I'm just a little bit wary of time. I have spent more time down here than I anticipated. I can try and get up a little bit higher, but I'm not sure if I can see the mountains on the other side, if it's worth the shot. I have got an image from the other evening which I might share with you, and just call it a day here. But yeah, I've really enjoyed myself here. The Lake District has so much to offer. I want to thank you for joining me today, and if you haven't already, please give me a like and subscribe and hit that bell if you want to be notified of my next video. I'm not sure if I can get another Lake District one in. I'm sure that my family want me around them at the moment. Because we're on holiday together, it's a little bit selfish of me to get away. So yeah, I'm going to end it here. Thank you very much for joining me again, and I hope to see you in the next video.